are having a great day, man. Listen, we have 2 more days until the draft. We have the 13th overall pick, but I'm not dwelling on that right now. I have a special guest. When we come back, we will be on with Mike on the mic when we get back right after this intro. See you in a bit. Wrong one. Damn it.
Shake, 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 yeah. Shake, 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 shake. Shake money in the place. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the fans again. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the fans again. Is you a fan or a troll? Are you trying to wish us good? Trying to take control. Bringing problems to the hood. What takes your soul? Miami Dolphins bring the wood. Super Bowl is the goal. Tyreek Hill. I'm trying to kick it with Shake. You gotta be a real fan. No pretenders and fakes. We're gonna open up the line. Come correct with your taste. If you step into us blind, we're gonna show you the way. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the fans again. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the fans again. Never want the season to end. Let's mix it up a little with gin. And I remember when I knew that the Dolphins would win. Yeah, rockin' with Shake, rockin' with Shake. Let's go. I never want the season to end. Never mix it up a little with gin. That's right. Pass it off to one of my friends. Yeah, rockin' with Shake, rockin' with Shake. Larry K, what up? Phin-Addicts. TFTG, the tailgate. Miami Dolphins, baby. What up, Lou? Shake money. Crypto. Check it. Me? God bless y'all. Miami Dolphins #1. And we out. Miami Dolphins football, the greatest football team. We push the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. Respect us.
What's up, Mike? How you doing? Shout out to Mikey. How you guys doing out there? Well, anyway, you know, everything has an origin story, and there was a channel that I'm a part of, the TFTG, Finn's Tailgate, and what's up, Jordan? And you cannot talk about the origin story of the Finn's Tailgate without mentioning this man. I remember the first time I saw him, I was watching TD's channel. I believe it was a Monday night. It was a Monday night. And he was with this guy who has great taste in college football teams. Great taste in, yeah, he has amazing taste in college football team. And, you know, he was representing the Finn's Tailgate. And his name was Mike on the mic. And let's bring him up. Mike on the mic, what's going on, brother?
What's up, bro? Glad to be here, man.
Yeah. Thanks, brother. Man. And so let me ask you, how did you get involved with the Finn's Tailgate?
Man, I think I saw El Capitan on Twitter back when it was still Twitter. And
Yeah.
he had mentioned something. And so we kind of connected a little bit. And then I ended up jumping on with him to chit chat. And we did our first show. I was a live guest. And then, man, it just took off from there. I started drop the mic and open mic. And man, I think I was on 5 days a week. It was, hey, man, it was probably the most fun I've had. One of my dreams was always to talk sports. So getting to help El Capitan in the beginning and to be a part of the beginning of TFTG was something pretty special. But I'm pretty sure we met on Twitter.
Yeah, and then you did a show. Used to do a show with color all the time, and the battles you guys had were epic. As a matter of fact, HB did a thumbnail where he was pitching. He had color pitching a dress.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was Color was the man, man. We had HB, Brandon the bookie. I was there when Tonk started TMI. It was some epic times. I got hooked up with TD Finstock through there. Um, Shout out to TD. He let me on his channel. Like, yeah, I know that's where you saw me first. Same thing with Ali. Um, but yeah, dude, it was I was, it sucked the way it had to end for a little bit, but now I get to do the college football show with Ali on Wednesdays, and then, we release them on Thursdays, but 4th and 10U. But it was, yeah, dude, it was cool. And Kohler, man, I love his passion. I think he'd argue with a nail, and he'd probably win. So
Yeah,
it was definitely some fun battles back then.
yeah, it was. It was. And so how did you get back with El Capitan? Because I remember the show that we did. The show that we did. He says, "Hey, I got a special guest, right?" And I was like, I'm like, I had this inkling. I said, is it Mike on the mic? He goes, yeah. How'd you know? I'm like, I just had to figure.
Yeah.
But
No,
man, it was
that show was a long time coming. I've For those of y'all don't know, I'm a single dad now, so life happens, life hits you in the face sometimes,
yeah, for
and
sure.
really had to dedicate my time to the girls and just learning the new ways of life that we had set up. And but I got the itch, so I reached out to El Capitan and I was like, hey man, let's do a show. And man, that show was epic. I probably had 13 or 14 Dos Equis that night, and
Yeah,
I don't remember the end of that show was ridiculous, but we ended up yeah, man, and it scratched the itch, and then got with Ali and talked about doing a college football show. And I know when I was on TFTG in the past, it was everybody wanted more college football information and just a platform to really digest and dig into it. So that's how I came back. I think I took a 3-4 year hiatus, to be honest.
Jordan says don't forget he helped you out too.
I appreciate that, Jordan. Shake's the man, dude. He's a mainstay now. And dude, I love his takes. Plus, my dad's a Bullet Bob's definitely partial to him for that Gators.
Yeah, for
Which,
sure. Hey, that's
if I
why.
had to
Hey,
root for
listen.
another team, if I had to root
So
for another team, it'd definitely be the Gators.
let me ask you, how did you hook up with TD?
I'm pretty sure he saw me on the Finn's tailgate, one of my open mics, and he had come on and offered a chance to do a show on his channel. Um, and man, I jumped at it because at that point I was just trying to saturate the market and put as many videos out as I could. And to be able to be invited to be on that platform, and he had started doing he was allowing different channels to come on to his platform and really and do a show, but also promote their channel. And so
Mhm.
when he allowed me on, man, that was cool. I remember a couple episodes we did. The chat. I was trying to see if the chat could go faster than I could speak. That was pretty fun. But TD, man, I remember back when I was on it full time on TFTG full time. The That man has withstood so much heat and hate, and he's still doing his thing, and he's
Yeah,
growing still. And so it's pretty cool, man. I love TD.
yeah, me too, man. I think that's one of the reasons why because Larry K was on this channel, on that channel. He was on Wednesdays. Miss Fins was on that channel as well. Batman Fins with the
Yep.
wasn't the Fins, it wasn't the Finsholics. It was the show he did with Geo.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I remember that.
I mean, to give you a platform to try to help other platforms get off the ground, that says a lot of things about him.
For sure.
And the fact that, listen, you look at, except for Master at Work was a big was a player, a major player in the YouTube community because he did great graphics. But Dan Mitchell and Richie, they really weren't known, and together he helped, raise, help them as well, become who they are now,
For sure.
and shout out to El Cap in the building.
What's up, El Capitan?
So, all right, now let's now that we talked about the origin stories and anything like that, the $1 million question: how would you, a man born and raised in Texas, I'm assuming, right,
Yeah.
become a Dolphins fan?
Man, it all goes back to Bullet Bob. You like his taste in college football. You gotta love his taste in pro football. He had season tickets growing up, him and his dad. And man, he witnessed some of the greatest games in person, some of the greatest games Dolphins have ever been in against Chiefs in the playoffs, the Chargers in the playoffs, back in the late 70s, early 80s. And I grew up, so when I was born, I was born in Austin, Texas, and we ended up
Okay,
moving to
it's
Germany. My dad.
MCJB. This
Hey,
is
what up,
MCJB.
MC? Oh, I got you. So anyways, we ended up moving to Germany for his military deployment, or I guess it was he was stationed out there, and so man, all Bullet Bob does is talk sports. So he educated me quickly on who the Dolphins were and the undefeated season, and some of the greatest players that ever played there, the Marx brothers, Mark Duper, Mark Clayton, Dan Marino, and Larry Zonka, Mercury Morris, just educated me for 6 years while we were there. And then, man, I did that. That's how I became a Dolphins fan. It's just through my pops. He was pretty. Nowadays he's cool with it, but he's pretty disappointed I never chose the Gators and I stuck with the Longhorns. Being
Hey,
born from Austin, or being born in Austin, I was when I got back to the States in 1992. My grandmother's husband at that time, he was one of the very first members of UT Southwestern. He was one of their cheerleading teams before they became University of Texas Austin. And I was told him, I was like, Dad, that's the wrong orange. It's not the orange I remember. And so he was able to enlighten me on the orange that I remembered was University of Texas. So that's how I became a Texas fan. But the Dolphins is I was born to be. I mean, I bleed aqua and orange. It's just my dad grew up in South Florida. His dad's a huge Dolphins fan still. Their years usually revolve around the Dolphins season. So,
so
but that's
like
how I
this,
became a
right?
Fins fan. Yes, sir. Yeah, dude, I love that. That is it. I mean, and being in cowboy country, um, I mean, it's kind of nice being in cowboy country because they're as bad as we've been for a long time. So it wasn't ever a temptation to switch the team.
True that. True that. So, what can you share some of the stories that you would hear from Bullet Bob?
He used to talk about, he told me the 72 season, a lot of people that don't really, maybe they're new Dolphins fans, maybe they're casual Dolphins fans, or even people that aren't Dolphins fans, they attribute that season to Bob Greasy. And he was the one that had to, he made sure I knew that Earl Morrall was the reason we went undefeated that season. Greasy came in the playoffs, but we wouldn't have done it without Earl Morrall. And so being able to have that tidbit, that fact of that season was pretty cool. He used to tell me how Larry Zonka, it was rare that you had a bigger halfback than a fullback, but he was bigger than the fullback in front of him. I forget the one of the guys' names. He single handedly won them a Super Bowl. Oh man, yeah, his name's escaping me. I ain't even trying to remember. I need him. But and then he used to tell me, he used to always talk about Marino. That's his favorite quarterback by all. I mean, it's by a large amount. And he used to talk about the quick release. He always used to complain if he had ever handed the ball off, it would have been different. But and then I guess um, he loves Zach Thomas and Jason Taylor. He loves Zach Thomas's story about how he got run over twice by his stepdad, I think, and that's why his head was square.
Damn.
Used to love how Jason, yeah, right. And then he used to love how Jason Taylor was a skinny, pipsqueak coming into the league his rookie season. Then he bulked up and became one of the greatest defensive ends ever. But the main thing to take from my growing up and Dolphins fans is that my man he's all about popping the champagne every time the last undefeated team loses. Um,
By the way,
I
I
can't
gotta
tell
show
you
you a
how many
picture.
times. Yeah. Oh, dude, Zach, but Texas Tech
See that?
grad, man.
See that? That's his signature on my TFTG hat.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was a bit. Man, he hadn't man if Zach hadn't have played during the Ray Lewis era, he might have been considered the greatest of his time. His stats are dang near right on par with Ray Lewis. He just wasn't as flashy, didn't talk as much, personality wasn't as much. But one of the most consistent, smartest linebackers to ever play the game, and he was a Dolphin, and he was a lifer. So yeah, but and then I guess my dad was at the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know if it was 2 overtimes, 3 overtimes, the playoff game against the Dolphins. He witnessed Kellen Winslow being have to get an IV after the fourth quarter and at halftime of that game and that playoff game. So he got to see some really awesome games. So I just kind of soaked it all up from his stories and then it allowed me to really build my fandom, knowing the history of the team I'm rooting for, and then knowing everything that I've witnessed personally.
Yeah, that's what's up. And have you ever been to any games personally?
Ah man, the only Dolphins game I've ever been to, Josh Rosen started. So I don't know if it was much of a game, but it was down here in Texas.
Yeah, that was the
but
tank year, right? The tank for Tua
oh
year.
man, it was so bad. They were actually competitive in the first half, and then man, the Cowboys just ended up blowing them out. But I was there with my pops and my brother-in-law. That's the only Dolphins game I've ever been to. I've been to a preseason game here and there, but that was definitely the only game I've ever been to.
How was the stadium like?
Dude, it's I mean, I ain't trying to fill Jerry's head with any more of a ego boost, but it's a marvel, man. It's the 100-foot screen. The temperature's straight 72 the whole time. Beer prices are outrageous. Food prices outrageous. That's everywhere nowadays. But this is back before Tua was even here, so it was before inflation and all that stuff. But the stadium is really nice. It's definitely something you want to go to. There ain't really a bad seat. And if you are at the top, you got a 100-foot screen that you ain't got at home. So it's better than being at home watching it on your TV.
Yeah, that was a game to remember. Josh Rosen.
Dude, it was so. I was like, we were actually on the edge of our seat in the first half going, man, we might be able to steal a game. And then, man, Dallas just turned it on. And it was just like, we just wanted to go home.
Yeah, we knew. What's funny is if one thing I hope the Dolphins learn is if they are tanking, I hope they're not as blatant as they were back in 2019 because
Oh,
they made
definitely.
it blatantly obviously, and that's why
Yep.
everybody was investigating into them. And you know, I think if they wouldn't have made it so blatantly obviously, I think Brian Flores would have been part of the tank. But I think they were making it too obvious.
Yeah, and I agree. And everybody, I mean, I remember Tank for Tua, and I was, Tua is what he is. But I remember like even going to the game that day and everybody was talking about tank for Tua. And I was like, y'all got the wrong idea. Like, we don't need a tank for Tua. We need a tank for somebody else. I was, T Law, I would have been wrong about him. Maybe he's just in the wrong system. I wasn't, I was a Herbert fan. I just didn't want Tua because I wasn't sure his hip would last in the NFL. And then, the rest is history. But yeah, dude, that was one of the craziest seasons. I mean, it was from the get go, from the jump. Everybody knew Miami was trying to get the number one pick, and man, some of the people we rolled out to play that year, Josh Rosen especially, I was just like, good night.
God damn. Yeah, and being that you're in Texas, what other sports do you like? You like basketball? Do you like hockey? What other
Man,
interests do you have? Besides?
I'm a junkie, dude. I guess if I had to like rank them, if the Dolphins are playing, they're my number one. NFL outside of the Dolphins, don't really care too much about. I do a lot of fantasy. And then I guess after that, it's going to be the Rangers. Baseball, diehard Rangers fan. That's the first sporting event I ever went to. I've seen 3 stadiums in my lifetime for one team, which don't really happen often. So that was pretty cool. But and then I would go the Mavericks and then the Stars, but lately it's the Stars over the Mavericks. And right now it's the Rangers and Stars. Stars are in the playoffs against Colorado. They're tied up 1-1 in the series. But I love golf. I'll if I ain't got nothing to do on a Sunday and my girls are at their mom's, I'll straight up just sit down and watch whatever tournament's on. I do like tennis. Not a huge. I like watching the good people playing tennis. I couldn't tell you anybody else. But I like Federer. I like Djokovic. I was a huge Nadal fan. Um, but and then in basketball, diehard Mavericks fan. It's just I don't know how to digest. I still don't know how to digest the package that we got back for Luca. I've come around. I understand why they traded him. But we just had a local reporter release an article today talking about when the discourse started between him. I mean, when the disconnect started between the organization and Luca. And man, they've even alienated Dirk Nowitzki. He don't want nothing to do with the Mavericks anymore. And then Nico came out today. Nico Harrison coming out saying, I knew the fans loved Luca, just not. I didn't know how much they loved Luca. He's just BS. He's trying. I don't know. He needs to quit. Whatever. But Rangers, man, I got to go to the World Series with my pops in 2023. And that was the only home game we won the entire postseason. And me and my dad were sitting right above where the tying home run by Seager in the ninth, and then the walk off by Garcia. They landed probably. We were on the second, the top of the bottom of the third deck. But where the ball landed, we saw it clear as day going to the fan's hand and everything. And that was a dream come true. Them winning the World Series. It made it even better getting to go to a game with my dad. So that was pretty awesome. And then Stars, I remember the late 90s, early 2000s was a whole lot of fun with the Stars. And then the Mavericks, man, it's a funny story. So I was a senior in high school and they were playing, we had Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, Michael Finley. We were in the playoffs against the Spurs. Spurs had Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Steve Kerr. And I remember I paid $256 of my own money that I had made. And I sat in the nosebleeds and I watched us go up 12 with I think it was like a minute and 40 something seconds to go. And I watched Steve Nash go down the court, turnover, Steve Kerr come down the court, hit a three, and he did it 4 straight times and they lost the lead. And we if we had won, we'd have gone to game 6 in San Antonio. But I blew all that money to go see the team implode right in front of my face. I should have known it was gonna be a bad time being a Mavericks fan. But yeah, it was a good time. That was back in 2003.
Yeah, San Antonio. That's your biggest in-state rival, yeah, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think that they're on their way back up with Wimby and getting not DeRozan, the guy from Sacramento.
Castle. Also,
No,
Castle too.
he's good too. They just made a big trade this year. I just can't remember his name. He's the lefty. It's right on the tip of my tongue, but he's from Sacramento, the Sacramento Kings. Anyways, they got some stuff. They got that one guy. I don't even know his name. I don't follow him enough to know it, but he came off the bench this year and he put the most points ever off the bench. I think he had a perfect field goal percentage. They got some players down there now, and Houston's young too. I mean, Texas right now with the Mavericks, if they can. They're the old guys now, and they're looking up at 2 pretty dominant teams. I think in the next 4 or 5 years, you're going to see San Antonio as a mainstay. Houston's super young with Jalen Green. They're really good too. But if I had to pick my biggest nemesis, is definitely the Spurs. I remember I was working out in Arlington, and it was the game 7. Dirk Nowitzki went to he drove for the layup and Ginobili fouled him, but he didn't foul him hard enough, and the ball just kind of rolled over the rim. And we were at a wing house, and we uh we were jumping up and down on the patio, and the patio started to collapse, so we all had to run inside really quick because we were the Mavericks. I will say this: Dallas Cowboy fans are I don't want to say ignorant, but they're ignorant. But Mavs fans and Stars fans, they know how to party. And when they're playing, especially in the playoffs, I ain't never been around. I've been down in South Beach on New Year's. I've been all over the country and partied in some really fun places. I remember partying in South Beach when Texas beat USC in the national championship. And but man, Mavericks and Stars playoffs. Yeah, hey, you want to experience Dallas sports, you come do that. And then Rangers playoffs, I think they're about third on the list. Cowboys ever do good again, I imagine it'll be fun too, but I just root for them to lose. It is fun being a Dolphins fan down here though, because as bad as we have it, we don't expect a Super Bowl every year like the Cowboy fans do. And so I get a blast just making fun of them.
By the way, Steve Malloy, he's just like Bullet Bob, a fellow vet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Grew up in South Florida, and he's now living in Houston.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
What's up,
there's a
dude?
lot of Texas fans. You got EM Dolphin fan,
Yep.
Alexander Rene Diaz, who he just moved to Texas. You got Estefan.
Yep.
He's from Texas.
He's San Antonio.
Yeah, he's San Antonio. He's a big
EM
Spurs.
lives.
He's a big Spurs fan. Big Spurs fan.
Oh yeah, big time. And I ain't gonna put EM's information out there, but he's definitely probably the closest out of everybody to me.
Okay. Cat for life. And one thing about the Heat, we played the Spurs and Dallas two times, and two's in the finals, and we split each 1-1 each team. We
Yeah,
split
Ray
with the Spurs.
Allen. I was gonna say Ray Allen won that championship against the Spurs, and then what up, Cap for life? And then yeah, and then Dirk, man, that was the beginning of that dynasty. Not one, not two, not three, not four, and man, that was and yeah, I'm a Mavericks fan. You can call me Homer if you want. But that playoff run by the Mavericks that year, sweeping the Lakers, beating Oklahoma City with Durant, Harden, and Westbrook. The Lakers were the defending champs, and then having to go against LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. Dirk, man, he showed out. As for me, as an NBA fan, that's one of the greatest postseason performances runs that I'd ever seen in basketball. He refused to quit. Even the flu game, Wade and LeBron were mocking him. But yeah, dude, Miami. I remember both of those finals. And that Ray Allen shot in the corner against the Spurs. That was big shot Ray. That's what he did.
And by the way, I remember the first time we beat Dallas. It was special to me, not because we beat it was our first championship, but no,
2008
it was
or
something else.
2006.
And I'm sure your dad would appreciate it too, because we won the basketball championship and in football and in basketball that year too.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh yeah, you talk about the
The
Gators?
Gators.
Yeah. No, and then that 2006 run, you know, D Wade he was always one of my favorite basketball players. I love the way he played the game. Um, Man, he got some calls in that series, bro. But it was well deserved. Him and Shaq. Shaq got another ring, and Wade got his
And
ring.
listen,
And
I like the fact that Alonzo Mourning was able to get a ring too.
yeah. Hey, he's a stud too. He's old school.
Yeah, man. As a matter of fact, what's funny is when Pat Riley is known for his big men, and his first transaction was to trade Glenn Rice, which I have his rookie card, one of my favorite players. G Money was his nickname.
Okay.
They traded Glenn Rice for Alonzo Mourning.
I mean, you can't. He got the best end of that trade for sure.
And then I'll never forget they played because they got him from North Carolina, the Hornets. And I'll never forget him and Larry Johnson, aka Grandmama, got into a fight. Didn't even look like two girls were fighting. You remember that? That was like one of the funniest fights I've ever seen in NBA history.
Oh, that's funny. I mean, do NBA players actually fight?
Well, shit, I remember that
Ron
that
Artest
dude hit Kobe Bryant with a 2-piece.
Oh yeah. Hey, you don't talk about basketball. Kobe, in my opinion, second best behind Jordan as far as an assassin in the league ever. Anyways, back to the Miami. We got another connection between my favorite team and South Florida is Pudge. Never won a ring in Texas, but he went to Florida with I just had his name too. That was the year they won. I don't remember who they beat. They went through Arizona. It might have been the Yankees, but Pudge got to leave Texas, go to South Florida, get him a championship too.
And by the way, Florida right now, our starting quarterback, DJ Lagway, is from Texas.
Yeah.
5-star from Texas.
Hey, you see, I ain't gonna spoil it. Y'all check out TMI when they talk about something Lagway did with his NIL money. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I brought that. I put that in the group text. Remember?
Yeah, dude, that was dope. I was very impressed with that young man. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, he's definitely a real one. When people are as a matter of fact, there's talks of Tennessee trying to lure him to come to transfer portal. He said no, I plan on graduating at Florida.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's a good young man, and I do think if he had played against Texas, it would have been a different game. I don't know if Florida would have won this year, but they definitely.
Now,
I think it
I
would have
don't
been
think that. Like I
close.
said, I think it was a total team annihilation. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? The defense was. The offense had the way with the defense, so
yeah.
it's like, you know.
Well, yeah, but I also think the defense got tired, man. It was what's up, crypto? You're playing with a Harvard quarterback, man. Like, couldn't expect much from the offense on that point. But if Lagway had played and it was a little bit closer, the defense feeds off the offense. I honestly think it would have been a heck of a lot closer if Lagway had been able to play that game. But
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to this year. Lagway versus Manning. I think they're going to probably be the top two Heisman vote getters this year.
yeah. Speaking of the trashiest team in the on the West, shout out to the Jazz. Utah Jazz. It's probably like the worst team in the Western Conference. Would you
Did they
agree?
not? Did they finish with the worst record this year? I'm pretty sure they did.
Uh,
Hey, but
so
they did have the greatest facilitator of all time in John Stockton, and Karl Malone was a force. The Jazz have had their history too.
so now that you do, let's talk about 4th and 10. You know,
Yeah.
and one thing I'm gonna say, being that you look at prospects, um, prospects, closely, what are your three main positions that the Dolphins need to look at in this draft, especially in the first round?
Offense. First round. See, I think you can get. It's tough, but I think you got to go DB, especially if Ramsey's on the block. I want to get Jade Barron at 13. I think that'd be great. I think in the second round you got to go offensive guard. I think they'll all be gone come the third round, and then in the third round, I think you're gonna have to try and get another safety. But those are my top three. It goes defensive back. I think you need offensive guard, and I think I get that we signed some guards, but you never have enough depth. Especially with one of the guys, the guy from the Steelers that we got, he's coming off a season-ending injury, so just being able to bring him back at a good pace. But I think there's some good guard depth in this draft. DB, I know a lot of people want Will Johnson. I'm worried about his hips and his knees. But I witnessed Jade Barron. He's a complete player. I mean, he stuffed Cam Scattaboo on a 1 yard play. I think it was 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or something like that. And he met him in the hole and stuffed him. He's a ball hawk. I believe he had 7 interceptions last year. He blankets coverage. He's great. He goes up and defends the passes. And I think if he falls to 13, I think that's a steal, honestly. And with Ramsey going out the door, we got Cam Smith. We got honestly, that's about it right now. Cornerback. I know we signed a couple safeties, so I don't know if safety's too big of a need. But for me in this draft, because of where we're picking, I think you go DB, offensive guard, and I think you got to get a safety.
Yeah, and so who are your? I would say who is your top three prospects in each position?
Oh man, I mean, I love Jade Barron. I love Mimbu. I think he's going to end up playing guard with his size. And at safety, dude, I'm a Makuba fan, and I know he went to Texas. He didn't start in Texas, but he's one of the most physical safeties. And everybody talks about Malachi Starks, but Andrew Makuba out of Texas, you go back and watch tape of him. He lays the lumber. He's great in pass coverage. He plays the run really well, but when he comes to hit you, he's coming to hit you. He's not coming to just tackle you. He wants to knock you in the next week. And so those, and I know it's two Texas guys, but I just think there's I think Makuba is probably he's arguably my number one safety. He's probably going to end up being the number two safety in the draft. Jade Barron, I think he actually is the number two. If you count Travis Hunter, he'll be number three. I do think somebody's going to go Will Johnson, and I actually think the Cowboys, if their guys are gone on the offensive side of the ball, I think they could grab him. He reminds me of Byron Jones. Um, and then Mimbu, I'm fascinated by him because he could go top 10. He could go middle of the pack. He could drop out of the first round. Um, Dude can move. That's why I put him at guard. I think he ran a 4.95 40 at 346 pounds, I think is what it is. Or a four, yeah. So you put him at guard and you pull in a zone scheme or on counters and things like that. Ain't nobody gonna outrun him to the edge. So those are my top three guys. Any three of those in this draft, I'd be happy with for sure.
So like Brandon Jones, if I'm not mistaken, he was from Texas, right? The safety we drafted
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the 2020 draft.
Man,
How
I got
disappointing
a
was?
story. I
Go
was gonna
ahead.
say I got a story about him. I wasn't disappointed. Injuries took their toll on him. But did you know that he memorized? I think it was 12 or 15 different playbooks the night of the
Yeah, yeah,
draft because
yeah.
of the teams. Yeah, dude, that was one of the smartest safeties. He was one of the smartest football players ever. I wasn't necessarily disappointed. I was happy we got him.
No, no. How
And
disappointed was we didn't keep him, and we ended up getting Jordan Poyer, that old dude that freaking. We should have kept him.
yeah, I agree, but he was coming off an injury if I'm not mistaken. But I would have loved to see him. I don't know. Is he? Did he go to the? I don't
He
know
went to
where he
Denver.
went.
He
I
went
was
to
about to say the
Denver.
Broncos, but man, you know, I would have rather had Brandon Jones over Jordan Poyer, but Poyer's experience. I don't agree with a whole lot of the moves they make, but I agreed with bringing him in, and he wasn't that far removed from being a Pro Bowl caliber safety. So, and with Brandon Jones, don't get me wrong, I loved watching him play, especially being Texas boy. But I definitely, I guess if I had to pick to go back to your question, if I had to pick, I would have kept Brandon.
Yeah, definitely. Everything is, hindsight is always, 2020. You know what I mean? And who was your favorite pickup in as far as free agency is
This
concerned?
year,
Yeah.
Zach Wilson, and I ain't gonna hide it. You get a 25-year-old who he's mobile. I think he got the short end of the stick going to the Jets. I think you get somebody that can build his confidence, not unlike what happened with Tua. Mike McDaniel came in and gave Tua some confidence after dealing with Flores and everything. And man, he's a top three passer when he's healthy. And so I think Zach Wilson, especially with Tua's injury history, and signing him to a 2 year, or I think it was a 2 year deal. I think that's money because I've been saying it for a couple years now. My dad and I talk about it all the time. You got to get somebody in here to develop behind Tua. You don't need a veteran backup. You got to get somebody in here that we can develop. And now you got a 25-year-old who can scoot. He looks motivated. He looks happy to be here. For me, that was the best pickup in the draft in the offseason, and it's not even close for me.
Oh, who was the worst one?
Uh, I think that safety out of Detroit. I'm not really sold on him. His name is escaping me, but that safety out of Detroit, he's kind of suspect in coverage, and I think he had more than his fair share of penalties. But hey, I can't argue with defensive coordinator either. He got that defense playing real good last year, so but you know what? I got to applaud them. They went out and got the guys they wanted. They went out and got they filled the holes that they needed to fill. Maybe not starting caliber players, but you got depth at every position now. And so, but I think I do think it would be that guy. I don't know if you can remember his name, but the Detroit safety that we got. I want to say it's the worst, but of all the ones we had, he was my least favorite pickup.
Yeah, a lot of people say, "Oh, we signed Liam Eichenberg," but
Yeah,
you know
but he
what?
was already here.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Yeah, listen, I think he's going to be a backup. I think he is a quality backup. And here's the thing: he could play in all five positions.
Well, that's what my dad talks about too. He's a swing tackle that can play guard and he can play center, and the versatility to play all five positions, it's rare. He's
Yeah,
a big
listen.
boy.
At the end of the day, no matter what backup you insert, you're gonna get the same quality as Liam Meikenberg.
Yep.
You're not gonna get top shelf if he's one thing about the offensive line from starter to backup. There's gonna be a big drop.
Oh yeah. For sure.
So
I get signing Eichenberg back because I mean he really is. He's all three positions. Well, he's tackle, guard, and center. He can play both sides. In a pinch, you got a guy that you're not gonna have to worry about not knowing the position wherever you want to put him. So it's good depth. I get everybody's disdain with him. He's never shown anything that's flashy or nothing, but I do think that the versatility and the depth, I think that was a key signing. And then we got two guards, and Armstead going out the door is going to give that Houston fella. I don't remember his name, but he's a massive human being. He's going to give him a chance to really get some reps, some meaningful reps, and everything. So with as quick as this offense operates, I think it's like 2.4 seconds average snap to throw. You need run blockers and you need guys that can cover for 3 seconds, maybe 4. And I think we got a lot of those guys now. I still, it's going to be interesting. This season all depends on Tua, but I like the additions they've made. And I tell you what, Nikhil Westbrook-Ekine, he came, and I don't know if people forgot, but I'm pretty sure he had like five or six touchdowns the last 6 or 7 games of the season. He really came on last year, and he was actually one of my guys that I was going into fantasy this year. He was going to be a guy that I picked for a breakout season, and that was when he was in Tennessee. Now you put him in Miami, and if Hill's healthy, and you got Waddle, and hopefully Waddle can become himself again, but taking the attention off the middle of the field, I think Ekine's gonna eat. That was a really good signing too. I think he's probably my second favorite.
all right, let's do some on the spot questions real quick.
Hey, real quick,
Right.
before we get to those, I got to tell you, unless one of your questions is about the favorite game I've ever watched.
No. Go ahead. Let's talk.
Okay,
Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so 19, I'm pretty sure it was either the 90, so we came back in 92. I can't remember if it was 92 or 93, but this is the first Miami Dolphins game I ever watched live. My dad had gone. They were playing the Cowboys at the old Arlington Stadium, and everybody remembers this game. But we were down 9. It was we were down 17-16, and we were lined up for a field goal, and the Cowboys blocked it. Well, Don Beebe or Leon Lett went down and touched the blocked field goal, and Don Beebe picked it up, and then we were able to kick the field goal to win 19-17. But I'm in a room full of nothing but Cowboy fans. My dad's at the Cowboy game. He's at Cowboy Stadium watching the Dolphins. This is a Christmas Day game and everything. And I remember just cheering. I'm a kid at this point. I'm 8, 9 years old, and I'm cheering, screaming my head off because my team won. And man, I remember turning around and everybody in the room was just staring at me because the Cowboys had just lost like that. But that was my favorite. That was the first game I ever watched as a Dolphins fan. Man, it was cool. I think my favorite game ever was the we beat the Patriots on the Rob Gronkowski lateral, whatever it was. That
Yeah.
was probably one of
The
my favorite
Miami
games to
Miracle.
watch. Yeah, there you go. So, but yeah, dude. Anyway, so let's do the on spot, man.
All right, on the spot questions. All right, the Miami Dolphins fight song. It's been around since '72. Do you think it should be revamped? Yes or no?
I mean, if you're gonna do a remix but keep the song, yes.
All right.
But not a lot of teams have a. I don't know. Not a lot of teams that I don't know a lot of team songs. Miami Dolphins. That song. I mean, I can sing it for the rest of my life. But if you want to do a remix, yeah, bring in somebody, maybe put a freestyle in it, something like that. That'd be cool.
But it's like, you look at Grumpy, right? Grumpy, he's also a Texas guy, right? And he was talking about how he was at the Chiefs game and he heard that dun, 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 that war chant, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't you want like a song that would kind of like amp you up a little bit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could get that. I can see that. And yeah, I mean, I will say this: it has aged out. So, I would not be opposed to getting a new one, but I think if you can remix the one we have, I think it'd be great.
All right. Now, this was on Alan Poupard's show that he does, Miami All Dolphins podcast, and he had David Hyde from the Sun Sentinel, and he said that when they brought in the expansion teams, they offered the Dolphins to go to the AFC South. If they asked you your opinion, would you move to the AFC? Would you have the Dolphins move to the AFC South, or would you want to keep the rivalries?
Oh man, you're talking about the last expansion when Brady was in his prime and everything.
Yeah,
I think I'd have jumped at that.
because you get to see you know they're coming to Houston at least once a year.
Yeah, well, no, I would have jumped at that in a heartbeat. I think the new division, the new opponents, and everything might have been good for the Dolphins. Because right now, we're the ugly stepchild in the AFC East, and we have been for a minute. Hey, I'm gonna have to give me 1 second. I gotta go check on my kids. I'll be right back.
All right, no problem. So appreciate y'all for coming through, man. Hey, listen, while he is checking on the youngin, let's play a little commercial from Chef Jew.
What's up, y'all? This is Chef Jew. Looking for a great chef for your next catering party, private party, office party, etc. with welcome watering meals and desserts? Let Chef Jew Catering and Sweet Treats take care of it for you at an affordable price. Call me at 786-804-8096. Also, reach me at chefjewcatering@gmail.com. Direct message on Facebook and Instagram at Chef Juice Catering. Chef Juice Catering and Sweet Treats. Food with a passion. We do it all.
And that was Chef Jew. So how are the youngin?
They're good. They were just yelling at. They were yelling at each other.
Okay.
Sisters. All they ever do is fight.
Oh, trust me. I live with my my wife and her sister. They're good. They're much better now. But when I remember when they first got into it, they would. And I learned the hard way. Whenever they fight, do not take sides.
No.
No.
That's exit the room left, exit stage left, and let them duke it out at that point.
Yeah, exactly. The only time I used to get in is if it was at night and like, hey, listen, we got neighbors. Keep your voice down. Other than that, yeah, I learned that the hard way
for sure.
And all right, you had 3 draft do-overs. What would they be?
Ooh, I'm not taking Tua. That's my top one. Probably take Herbert.
You hater. No, just playing.
No, I mean, I just. But don't get me wrong. Tua is who he is now, and I get him. But I'm taking. I wasn't a fan of him, so I'm probably taking Herbert. I'm not taking Deion Jordan. Forgot who we passed on that one. What was the year we could have gotten the Pittsburgh Watt, TJ Watt?
That was Charles Harris.
Okay. So I definitely would have gone TJ Watt.
Charles Harris.
Then, yeah, for sure. And then I can't remember who we passed on when we took Deion Jordan. I think it was like number 6 or 8 overall.
He was number 3 overall.
Number 3. I don't remember who we passed on, but I'm not taking Deion Jordan in that spot.
Okay.
I wasn't a fan of his. I've never been a fan of Oregon defensive players, anyways. So
you ain't whistling Dixie there. So listen, I'm doing a very first segment with you. I'm rolling out in the blender. This is called word associations. I'm gonna show you pictures, and you tell me in one word what comes to your head. All right. Let's start off with some Texas people, some Texas legends. All right. I'm just no, I'm messing with you.
I was like Yosemite.
No, all right, here we go.
Sadness. Champ. Enemy. Greatest. Fool.
Ooh, that's it.
Yeah, he's a fool. He
Fool.
should
Okay.
have never left Miami.
And finally,
Goat.
go. All right, that's what's up.
Yeah. That was fun, man. I mean, that was cool. I like that segment.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing about it is, I'm gonna change it up. Depending on guests. So, and I do. That's the same. Actually, with the with the questions, I asked the first two questions I asked everybody, then I kind of change it up for whatchamacallit. And of course, our Bills fan, Mikey K, you know who he is. He's saying Avalanche. He's saying Avalanche in 6. What do you think?
I after game 3, I'll either confirm or deny his prediction. I think the Stars got their energy back last night. And Blackwell, which happens to be my last name, that game winning goal in overtime. I think that was a relief. I think it was the monkey off the back because they lost 7 in a row or 8 in a row going into last night. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Colorado in 6, but I could definitely see Dallas in 6 too. And really, and for me, not just being a Stars fan, it's one of the most exciting series with the Miko with Rantanen going back to face Colorado after they wouldn't give him a contract, traded him to Carolina, and then he ended up in Dallas, and we gave him the 8-year deal. The storylines are pretty awesome. With Ott, I think is his name, the captain for Colorado coming back. And then you got Heiskanen possibly coming back. And Dallas has forward depth for a minute, but I could see Colorado in 6 if Dallas comes out flat in game 3. But if Dallas takes it to them in game 3 and they're forechecking like they were the last game, I think it's anybody's series. And I could easily see Dallas in 6 too.
So let me ask you this question before we get in. We have 2 categories, and then we'll send you on your way. And I appreciate you for taking this time out. I really appreciate it. By the way, Michael K, I have an important question to ask you, and I think we all want to know what is Ali's right counter at right now? How many rights
It's
has
got
he
to be
said?
at like 10,000 for the episodes at this point.
No, I'm saying no. They're on live right now, so I'm sure I want to know what's the
I
right
got you. I
counter
got you.
at. What's the
Man,
right
I
counter at
die
right now?
every time we get released episode. I sit there and watch the right counter. I'm just dying laughing.
So, all right, now we're gonna do a. By the way, real quick before we do this, the game, and before we do the 2 last segments, let me ask you, what do you think? All right, this is what I want to get your perspective. I
Okay.
thought this very peculiar when they talked when Mike McDaniels, not Mike McDaniels, Chris Greer talked about Xavier Howard. He talked about how that was his first he drafted him, and the players that he drafted. When they talked about all the hits, he's talking about how he drafted them, whatever. But when it's players that didn't do so well, I deferred to the coach. What do you make of that?
No spine. Not being able to take accountability because I mean I think we all understand that the coach might have some input, but Greer's had his hands all over this. I think he, the best GMs are going to admit when they're wrong, and they're gonna gloat when they're right. But deferring to the coach, that it just makes the coach a scapegoat if they're if the players don't look or if they aren't up to par or they end up being bust or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I mean, Chris Greer is great. I've been saying we need to. Yeah, I'll be nice because you know, give him a chance. He made some good moves this offseason, so we'll see how it plays out. But if it's another failure, he's got to go. He's been there too damn long, man.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, but at the end of the day, look, one thing I learned, I mean, one thing you got to know, you can't tell a billionaire what to do. So you can't tell him if to sell the team, and you can't tell him who to hire and who to fire.
Yep.
So I think that's why he has that confidence, because he knows, hey, Chris, he probably told Chris Greer, listen, I don't care what the haters, listen to me. You have my word. He probably looked at him and said, you have my word. You're safe.
Yeah. No, I
So,
agree. I mean, he's got something on him, I guess. He's got something on Ross.
all right. So we have these 5 categories. I'm going to shuffle. Give me a number through 1 through 10, please.
7.
Shuffle. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Now let's take out 1, 2, 3. If you don't like the category, just tell me pass, and I'll get another
Man,
category.
I'll answer everything.
All right, we'll do 2 more then. All right, you ready?
Ready.
All right, we're doing an award ceremony, right? And the award, best offensive lineman all time, goes to
Laramie Tunsil.
Laramie Tunsil. And the best defensive lineman goes to
Jason Taylor.
best defensive rookie goes to
Ooh, that's tough. Ooh. Man, I'm gonna go recent. No, I'm gonna go old school. It's Zach Thomas.
Zach Thomas. All right, remember you can't
Yep.
use him twice if he comes up. So.
Yeah, I got you.
Best safety of all time.
BB.
Who?
BB.
BB, who's that?
I think it's Don Beebe, right? Didn't he play
Don
in the
Beebe?
in the 90s?
The Killer Bees.
Yeah.
And last but not least, God damn it, I can't believe they got it shuffled in there. Greatest wide receiver.
Oh, that's tough. I'm gonna go.
If you
we'll
know,
go
but
Mark
you know
Clayton.
what? If you notice, I think we can't say a lot of good Dolphin quarterbacks, but we could say a lot of Dolphin good wide receivers that we've had in the past.
For sure. And I go Mark Clayton over all of them.
Mark Clayton. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cool. All right. Last category. And again, once again, man, I appreciate you for coming on. And by the way, I love your background. Man, Texas. Hey, man, listen. There's a strong possibility I might move to Texas, but I don't know.
Hey,
My wife's looking to move to North Carolina, so we'll see.
Yeah. Get down here quick if you're coming, because we got a lot of California transplants taking over. So it is what it is. Yeah.
And
well,
Florida,
because
you know what's funny is Florida. They did a thing 2023. Texas is number 2, not number 2 or 1 for Floridians too. They like about 5,000 people moved like in the 30s because it's less expensive.
Well, what's going on right now is California is putting all their damn headquarters here in Texas, and so they're everybody's following the headquarters to Texas. So I like where I'm at. It's a smaller town.
That's what I want, a small town. I like small towns.
We're 45 minutes away from every major highway, so it's perfect.
All right. Last but not least, what is your Miami Dolphins Mount Rushmore?
We doing 4?
Yeah, we're doing 4.
Don Shula, Dan Marino, Jason Taylor, and Zach Thomas.
Hey, I'm not going to argue with you. The last 2 Hall of Famers, of course, you got Don Shula, and then the only one who, Don Shula, and then, Dan Marino.
I got to tell you something. I just found something. Bullet Bob, this little tidbit he gave me today. Greatest number 1 pick ever for the Dolphins. Who was it?
Greatest number 1 overall pick? Number 1 overall?
For the Dolphins. Just number 1, first round pick for the Dolphins.
Let me see. Bob Greasy.
You did so, and I don't know if a lot of our viewers know this, but we got penalized for tampering with with the Baltimore Colts
Yeah,
when
we
we
did.
grabbed Don Shula, and we had to give
Yeah,
up our number one. We had to give up our first round pick that year.
yeah. So
So
Don Shula was.
that's the greatest first round pick ever.
See,
Was Don Shula.
see. I'm glad you brought that up because I brought this up last year in the blender. Don Shula, Stephen Ross needs to take notes from Joe Robbie. See, we got hit with a tamper and didn't get the guy. At least Joe Robbie lost the pick and got the guy.
And got the guy, yeah, for sure.
We didn't get
I
Sean
think we
Payton.
need to go. We need to go get Don. Yeah, I agree with that. But we need to go get Don Shula's grandkid out of L.A.
Yeah, he's a defense. You know what's funny is when we were looking for
I like
defensive
Weaver though.
coordinators. When we were looking for defensive coordinators, the Rams elevated him.
Yep,
to DC.
just like San Francisco did with McDaniel.
Yeah.
But no,
So,
I like it. But I really, dude, I'm a huge fan of Anthony Weaver. So I don't really want to replace him at all, honestly.
I mean, the thing I like about Weaver is I think he's a player's coach, but at the same time, he's not gonna like a Mike Tomlin. He's a player's coach, but at the same time, he's gonna get in your ass if he has to.
And he holds everybody.
He demands that respect. You could tell he demands that respect.
100%. And like what we lack on this team for me is accountability. And that's the one thing that he brought to the defense last year, and the offense didn't have it. But he brought it to the defense. I'm hoping McDaniel learned from that and is going to hold this team more accountable this year.
Anyway, before we head out, any final thoughts and what you got cooking on 4th 10U?
Well, we're gonna do our. We got an episode releasing tomorrow because the draft is on
guest,
Thursday.
by the way, on there.
Yeah, Shake was there, man. Now you're doing your thing, bro. I'm like, kudos to you, bro. Like I'm proud of you for taking off like you have. But we got our final episode before the draft releasing on Wednesday. We did a fun little exercise. You were there. And then we've got some cool stuff coming up. We'll do a draft recap next week. And then we're going to look forward to some spring football, recap a lot of the spring football games. But we're really hoping to do some on location stuff to broadcast from some games. Ali's going to be traveling around. I got a bunch of teams down here near me that I can go see. But it's fun, man. The views aren't quite where, I mean, our shorts are getting some good views and we're going to build it slowly but surely. But if you're a fan, I'm telling you this, if you're a college football fan, you want to laugh, you want to have a good time, come check us out, man. 4th and 10U is where it's at. And CCRR, I know he had asked me over and over and over again to do college football shows. So I'm glad he shows up because he was one of the first people I thought about whenever we started to talk about doing the show, was finally doing what he had asked me to do years ago. So, but yeah, check us out. And then I think we're gonna try and do some more live shows over the summer on TFTG for 4th and 10U, so we'll be able to interact with the crowd a little bit more. But yeah, hey, y'all like and subscribe right here. Yeah, man, and Shake's doing his thing, and it's really cool to see him and Ali and to watch them kind of take over and take the reins and start doing their own stuff. And for y'all that don't know, Shake's on all the dang time, man. You can find him at night, you can find him overnight, you can find him on the ride home, you can find him on the blender. Man, it's an honor and pleasure to be here. I was super super happy to get the invite, Bubba. I'll come back anytime.
Hey, by the way, and just this is most important when you watch 4th and 10, you have Michael K there. He'll let you know how many times that Ali said right with the right counter.
Right.
Yeah,
right. I love it.
Anyway, stick around real quick. I'll close the show. We'll talk backstage for just a minute, and then we'll head out. And by the way, appreciate y'all for coming through. A lot of times, we do get a lot of people watching on the replay, so appreciate y'all. And fins up, man. Let's hope. I don't know whether to root for a winning season or losing season, but either way, next week Tuesday, I confirmed Lewis and Tony from the Blitz pickup will be in the blender next week as a tandem.
Heck
I got
yeah.
Paris Love coming in. Oh man, I'm tripping. I almost forgot to ask you the most important question of all. Check this out. If Mike McDaniels gets fired mid-season, let me ask you this. This is an important question, right? What do you think? He's a better at McDonald's or a Best Buy employee?
Ah,
do you think?
Geek Squad at Best Buy.
Yeah. He could definitely sell you some computer hardware.
Oh, that's freaking funny.
All right, y'all. Be safe. Fins up.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry Cat.